Raised up in a Christian home by my grandmother and my father. My mother was never around, so I was always in a semi-dysfunctional family, but they were a loving family. We were Christian raised in church. Used to go to church every Sunday and every Wednesday night, and then uh, throughout my childhood, I was always spoiled by my grandmother. She always tried to cover like emotional needs with material things. And that always had an effect on my social life and my emotional life coming up as a child. Sometime around the adolescent years, 12, 13, started drinking and smoking weed with my friends after school. And that progressed on to pills and cocaine and then eventually methamphetamine. I've been in and out of prison for most of my adult life. Spent the most part of 10 years in prison. And when I got out the last time, I knew something had to change. Just didn't know how to change or what I needed to do to make the change. I've been to several secular programs in the past and put together some brief stints of sobriety. Didn't know what I needed to do to get my life right, but I knew that I wanted to do something different than what I'd always done in the past, which was, just leading a life of death and destruction. I always called out to God, but I didn't want to accept God as my Lord and Savior. I always been a believer in God and never actually asked God to come into my life. I had thought I was saved several times in the past, but once I finally know I got saved when I was in the county jail, it was like I couldn't be at peace without reading my Bible or doing something that was more of had a Christian outlook, like doing devotions and stuff like that in the county jail, and just couldn't have any inner peace without it. I heard about A Better Way through a friend of mine, or who's come to be a friend of mine, Bobby Dodd. He came to me while I was in county jail, and I had reached out to him through a mutual friend of ours who was running a program in Eastman. And Bobby came, interviewed me, and told me about A Better Way. And then once I got here, I remembered reading the book while I was in diagnostics the last time. And I had wanted to come while I was in prison, but went back to using and got back into living a life of sin when I first got out. And then, like I say, just luckily that, Bobby Dodd was the one who came and talked to me and presented me with coming to A Better Way. When I got to the property in Sonoya, looked around and realized how nice and luxurious everything was. I have been to several programs in the past with the living arrangements weren't near as nice, so I was kind of shocked at how nice everything was, how well upkept the grounds were, how nice the houses were, how neat everything was. Just made me feel like I was more welcoming at home. On the first day I was here, I was just relieved to be out of jail and not know that I didn't have to go back to prison, that there was a way to change my life, and that I had come to a conclusion that my life was unmanageable and A Better Way was going to provide the help that I needed to get my life straight and have a productive future. I just remember going to the altar and praying and having some guys come pray over me. The feeling of true brotherhood as opposed to part-time friendships that I had experienced in the past was a good feeling. When I first got here, I believed that the structure was a little overkill, that they were taking things a little bit to the extreme with the buttons and the reverence. I didn't have a problem with authority or following rules or regulations because I had been in prison. I knew there's a time to be quiet and there's a time to talk. It did seem like a little overkill with all the extra rules and stuff, but I was just ready to change, so I was willing to do whatever. When I got here, the brotherhood was a really strong sense of loving and caring. I've never felt that in the past from the friends I had dealt with on the streets who were just fair weather friends, or they just wanted to come over and use for whatever I had. But here, people actually seem to genuinely care about you and wanted to see you better your life and help you draw you closer to God. God has restored me physically, spiritually, emotionally. He's restored my family. We now have a great relationship. Me and my family, our relationship had been on the rocks for about 15 years due to my drug use, and they were loving me from a distance. They still love me, but they didn't want anything to do with me while I was using. God also restored now I can be employable now. Haven't really had any type of gainful employment in the past 15 years due to drugs and alcohol. And, now the fact that I get up every morning to go to work and do my internship here at the ministry on a daily basis is it's a miracle in God's eyes. because before that there was no intention to get up and have a job or anything like that. I just wanted to get high every day. I do believe that my family's been inspired by the changes that have been made in my life. Like I said, God has restored the relationship between me and my uncle, which was a long-term series of me letting them down, financially, emotionally, and just not being a loving member of my own family. And now God has come into my life and restored that relationship. On my trip to Florida, there was a bridge coming into Santa Rosa Beach, and as soon as we crossed the bridge, the sun rays coming through the clouds, it was just awesome because it looked like just rays of sun beaming through the clouds, and then it was clouds on the other side and looked like it might have been also raining over there. But that looked real cool off in the horizon when we were going down there. And then getting there and seeing how nice Brother John's place was, and praying on the beach and having devotion every morning on the beach. It was a really peaceful and serene time for me here at the ministry. My baptism was awesome. It happened on my grandmother's, what would have been her 100th birthday. I was down there at the beach with Brother John and got baptized. And when I came up out of the water, I felt like a new man. There was nothing that was holding me down and causing me to have self-condemnation or any feelings of guilt. I felt like I left it all in the water and was ready to move forward with my life. What I would say to the new guys is put as much into your walk as a Christian as you want to get out of your walk as a Christian. The more you put into it, the more time you give to the Lord, the more time He'll give back to you. A Better Way has saved me from myself, from living a life of addiction where there was no hope for me as a member of society. I was just living a life. I was just there. Didn't have any direction or any purpose in life. A Better Way has given me purpose. Now my life has a meaning, and I'm ready to go out and be a productive member of society. The hardest thing for me to overcome was myself, really, and dealing with pride and arrogance. By doing the Restore Your Heart class, it helped me out to look at my inner self and restore my heart back to where I can be a loving, caring man. If I could talk to myself 18 months ago before I came into the program, I would say you need to get it together and grasp hold of everything they teach you here at the program, because this is the best foundation you can have in life.